All right, today I'm going to go over a dead bug variation. It's the starting point for a dead bug, and we're going to progress up from there. I often get asked, how do I get better at, let's say, overhead squat or snatch, or basically positions where they're in kind of a squat and an overhead position. Typically, they come in and they think it's a thoracic issue, or it's a shoulder range of motion issue, or a hip issue. And if those all clear, then it's just the coordination issue. So a lot of times, all we need to do is take both and kind of link them together in an easier variation. So instead of loaded, standing, we'll kind of peel back. And sometimes instead of regressing it, we can regress it all the way back to a dead bug. Typically, I'll just start them with a dead bug because it's something they haven't done before. We see this a lot in gymnasts because they're bending a lot forward and backward. So a lot of extension, a lot of times often hyperextension, and they start to hinge. And so it's a good point that let's say if this is a back bend, instead of bending like this and breaking and having a hinge point where they have all their issues, we're trying to teach them to coordinate kind of between the two. So gymnast, competitive cheer, football, kind of linemen, a lot of different kind of sports like that. But again, CrossFit is the one where it's more mysterious, where it's not caught or it's misdiagnosed or misrepresented, I think, because there's so many other variables. So anyway, let's get into this dead bug. I'm going to lay down and show you. So we're going to get into this position, and the first thing I want to do is just see if the patient can brace. So what I mean by brace is, ha, if you laugh, ha, 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 or tss, just a light tss, the patient can tss, feel that activation, and that's a light brace is all you really need. So here, bracing, light brace, and then being able to breathe through that. With mostly stomach. A lot of people are going to be chest breathers. So this is where I'll get into the breathing conversation, which a lot of people don't want to hear, but it's necessary. So again, I'll teach them the brace, and that's really important with back pain, neck pain, hip pain, knee pain, everything. Brace, and then being able to brace and not just hold our breath, that's that Valsalva, not just hold our breath, which is a technique, but breathe through that light brace, because we need that when we bend over, tie our shoes. I need that right now, or right now when I'm holding my legs up and talking, and breathing. So then that's the next piece of this. So here I'm seeing, can the patient brace? Or that's, then can they breathe? Or are they turning red? And then I'll bring them up, usually one leg at a time if they have back pain. The cue here typically is to push down a little bit into the table to kind of flatten the low back. A lot of people don't need that cue. A lot of times they'll actually be better in this position. So they're actually in this position, oh yeah, now I've got the brace, and then I can teach them to breathe here. Now, if you can kind of see my sides, I'll try to move my arms out of the way. I breathe, I automatically flatten here and breathe through my sides. I've practiced this a while, so I automatically do this. A lot of times you're going to see, this is where you'll see the diastasis pop up, the little alien I call it. You'll see a lot of dysfunction there. So again, these are all pieces building up to the dead bug, which is a pretty basic movement. But here, bracing, breathing, and then if they can do this, I'll start tapping. And we don't have to use the arms yet, we'll just start tapping. Now the breathing, they'll stop breathing. They'll say, my hip flexors are burning, because they're not used to bracing, breathing, and doing this movement. And then I'll break. We'll go back up to that position, make sure they can brace and breathe. Arms up. I'll do the same thing with the arms up. And then we'll start tapping. And this is that dead or dying bug. And that's really it. From there, you can get creative. So there you can add bands, you can add them holding, so you can, infinite amount of possibilities to get creative from that position. But that's it. I kind of showed you how I get to the dead bug. Instead of just throwing them into a dead bug, we build that brace, we build that breathing, and then we bring those legs up, make sure they can hold all those positions, and then get into the full dead bug movement. But again, that's with just any movement. You kind of start with the pieces, make sure they can do the pieces individually, just like with the overhead squat. Make sure you can do overhead press, make sure you can squat, and then link them together. And then if we see this discrepancy, kind of regress to those earlier positions. So, thanks.